Jason Vale adjusted the straps of his medical pack as he stepped off the transport shuttle. The air of Zarathus was thick and sweet, almost like the scent of honey, but with an underlying sharpness he couldn't name. The planet stretched before him, vast plains dotted with glowing plants that pulsed gently, and towering figures moving among them. Some reached heights that made Jason feel small, even more than usual. These were the Zarathians, a species humanity had only recently encountered, known for their incredible size and advanced intelligence. Jason had trained for years to deal with humans, but aliens were another matter entirely. His mission was simple, or so it seemed. Observe, assist if needed, and report any medical anomalies. But he had learned quickly that simplicity rarely lasted long in uncharted space. As he walked toward the colony's central area, Jason noticed the alien settlements. The structures were unlike anything he had seen. They appeared grown rather than built, organic shapes intertwined with metal frameworks. The walls shimmered faintly, reflecting the sunlight that filtered through Zarathus's green-tinted atmosphere. Colonists or citizens moved gracefully despite their size. Each step they took caused the ground to tremble slightly. "Remember, Jason," Lieutenant Harris had said before the shuttle landed, "these creatures are giants. They are peaceful, or at least they want to be, but one wrong move and you could be crushed without realizing it." Jason nodded, though his stomach tightened at the thought. He had faced dangerous situations before, but the idea of working in close quarters with beings 15 feet tall, with strength to match, made him tense. A soft hum caught his attention. Jason turned and saw a Zarathian approaching. Its skin was a radiant mix of blues and greens reflecting the sunlight. Its eyes were multifaceted like gemstones, and they seemed to study him with curiosity. Jason froze, unsure whether this was a friendly gesture or a challenge. To his surprise, the alien stopped a few meters away and lifted one of its massive arms in a wave. Then it spoke in a deep rumbling voice that somehow carried over the open air. "Human. Medic," it said, each word deliberate. Come." Jason swallowed and took a cautious step forward. I'm Jason Vale, medic. How can I help?" The alien tilted its head. Its skin shimmered a darker shade of green. Jason guessed that meant hesitation, maybe anxiety. Then it said clearly and urgently, "Make it stop. It itches." Jason blinked. "Excuse me?" He glanced around at the other humans, but most were frozen, unsure whether to intervene. The alien, or Thalcor, as he would soon learn its name was, shifted slightly, and Jason noticed small, glowing flecks moving along its scaled skin. They were tiny, insect-like creatures clinging to the alien's body. They emitted a soft glow, pulsating like living lanterns. Jason's heart rate quickened. He had never seen anything like this. One of the human scientists muttered, Those aren't supposed to be there. The Zarathians never have parasites like that." Jason swallowed again. This wasn't just a simple itch. These creatures were embedded, moving along the giant's skin in a way that made him visibly uncomfortable, and they were asking a human for help, a first in recorded history. He took a step closer, careful not to alarm Thalcor. The alien lowered its massive head so that their faces were roughly level. Its eyes flickered with a strange emotion, fear, pain, and something Jason didn't recognize at first. Then it hit him, trust. Despite the alien's size and power, it was putting its well-being in the hands of a human. Jason's mind raced. The other humans whispered warnings, but he focused. "Okay," he said calmly, "I'll try to help." "Can you stay still?" Thalcor's skin shifted to a lighter shade of green, almost white, which Jason quickly learned was a sign of cooperation. Carefully, he moved closer, examining the glowing insects. They were harmless to him. They didn't bite or sting, but they seemed to burrow into the alien's scales. Jason retrieved a scanning device from his pack, holding it close to Thalcor's arm. The device beeped and whirred, showing the creature's movements on a small screen. They weren't aggressive, but they were causing extreme discomfort. Jason frowned. Traditional human medicine wouldn't work here. He needed to combine human knowledge with observation and guesswork. "All right," he murmured. "First, let's see if we can remove some of them carefully." He reached out, hand trembling slightly, and gently touched one of the glowing insects. Thalcor flinched at first, but Jason's voice remained calm. "Easy. I won't hurt you." Slowly, carefully, he used a small tool to lift the insect from the alien's skin. It popped off with a faint glow and floated away harmlessly. Thalcor's skin shifted again, becoming a soft blue, a sign Jason interpreted as relief. The alien let out a low rumble, almost like a sigh, and Jason realized that this simple act of trust had bridged a gap wider than the universe itself. But then the problem became clear. More of the glowing creatures were embedded deeper in Thalkor's scales, some in places Jason couldn't reach from the ground. He would need to climb. Jason swallowed hard. He had prepared for many things in his career: emergency surgery, battlefield injuries, alien toxins. But climbing onto a 15-foot-tall alien was new. "Thalkor," he said carefully. "I need to climb up. Can you hold still?" The alien's eyes widened, but it didn't resist. Its skin pulsed with lighter colors, indicating trust, but Jason knew he had one chance to get this right. He placed a hand on the alien's lower arm and began the climb, using its scales as footholds. The alien's skin was surprisingly warm, textured like a mix of leather and stone. Every movement had to be precise. One wrong step could anger Thalkor, and he didn't want to become crushed by a single accidental motion. Halfway up, Jason paused and looked down. The colony spread out below him, smaller than ever from this height. Human medics, scientists, and guards were frozen in awe, watching as he moved with care. The scale of the alien was breathtaking, but so was the responsibility. Finally, he reached a spot near Thalkor's shoulder where the parasites clustered most densely. Jason's hands moved quickly and carefully, lifting each insect away without causing the alien pain. He could feel Thalkor's relief with every movement, a low rumble vibrating through his own arms. After what felt like hours but was only minutes, Jason managed to remove a significant number of the creatures. Thalkor shifted its posture slightly, almost playful, letting him know it trusted him completely. Jason felt a rush of accomplishment. He had never felt this way after any human surgery. Here he was healing something not just physically but emotionally. "Almost done," he murmured. "Just a few more." Jason's focus sharpened. He knew that if he could solve this problem, it would prove something important. Humans were not just survivors, but problem solvers capable of empathy and bravery in entirely alien circumstances. As he worked, Thalkor's eyes met his, and Jason felt something profound: connection. They didn't speak the same language fully, but the trust, relief, and subtle humor in the alien's gaze were unmistakable. He realized that this was the essence of humanity: empathy, courage, and resourcefulness shining across species. By the time Jason climbed down, Thalkor was noticeably calmer. The glow of the insects had dimmed, many already removed or relocated to safe containment jars Jason had prepared. The alien let out a sound that Jason interpreted as gratitude, a deep, rolling hum that vibrated through the air. Other humans slowly exhaled, some clapping quietly. Jason felt pride but also exhaustion. He had faced fear and physical challenge in a way that human medicine had never demanded before, and he had succeeded. As he packed up his tools, Thalkor lowered its massive head again, bringing their faces level once more. The alien's eyes flickered, and then it rumbled something that Jason could just barely understand. "Human. Brave. You help," Jason smiled. "Thank you. Thalkor, I'll check on you again tomorrow. We'll make sure it stops completely." Thalkor's scales shimmered in a brighter hue, almost like laughter. For the first time, Jason felt that humans and giants could truly coexist. Not just survive, but thrive together. As the sun dipped below the alien horizon, casting long shadows across the glowing colony, Jason returned to his tent. He couldn't stop thinking about what he had just experienced. This was no ordinary mission. It was the start of something larger, a story about trust, courage, and the strange but wonderful ways life could connect across worlds. Tomorrow, he knew, the challenge would continue. But for now, he allowed himself a moment of quiet satisfaction. He had faced the unknown, and he had helped a giant in need. And in doing so, he had shown, even to himself, what it meant to be truly human. The morning on Zarathus arrived slowly, the light stretching across the glowing plains like liquid gold. Jason Vale adjusted the straps on his pack, preparing for another day with Thalkor, the giant alien who had trusted him yesterday. The air was still sweet and sharp, carrying the scent of the alien flora. Jason knew today would be more challenging. Yesterday had been about assessment and careful initial removal of the parasites, but now he had to treat the deeper infestations, some embedded under thick scales. This would require courage, precision, and a new level of cooperation between human and giant. When he reached Thalkor's dwelling, a massive open structure grown from Zerathian biocrystal and organic fibers. The alien was waiting. Its scales pulsed with a soft green hue, a signal Jason had learned meant patience mixed with discomfort. The giant lowered its head, letting Jason approach without fear. "Good morning," Jason said, trying to keep his voice calm and reassuring. "Are you ready to start?" Thalcor's deep rumble was affirmative, and Jason carefully positioned his tools. Unlike human patience, the giant's skin reacted not just to touch, but to intention. Jason had learned yesterday that gentle movements, calm voice, and patience were as important as any medical skill. He climbed again, this time higher, using the alien's muscular limbs as support. Each step required careful calculation. The scales were tough but slightly flexible, and the alien's movements could be sudden if startled. Jason reminded himself to breathe, focusing on the task. As he began, he noticed the parasites had multiplied overnight. Small, glowing forms now clustered in patterns along Thalcor's arms and shoulders, some embedding themselves so deeply they shimmered through the skin. Jason frowned. These were resilient and clever creatures, and human methods alone wouldn't be enough. He took out a hybrid tool he had improvised, a combination of a scanning wand and a gentle extraction device. The wand illuminated the parasites, showing how they were connected beneath the scales, while the extraction device carefully lifted them without tearing the skin. "Hold still," Jason murmured. "This will feel strange, but I won't hurt you." Thalcor shifted slightly, but its trust remained. Jason worked carefully, removing clusters one by one. He was amazed by how intelligent the giant seemed to be. Its eyes followed every movement, almost like it understood exactly what he was doing. Occasionally, a low hum of approval escaped from Thalcor's throat, and Jason felt a strange warmth. Suddenly, one cluster moved in a pattern Jason had not expected. The parasites seemed to react to his presence, almost like they were aware of his attempts to remove them. He paused, adjusting his technique. This was no longer a simple procedure. It was a dance between species, where observation and adaptation were key. Jason decided to combine human antiseptic with an alien resin that the Zerathians had previously used to heal wounds. Carefully, he applied a thin layer along the infected scales. The resin pulsed with light, and the parasites began to loosen. Thalcor shivered slightly, and Jason held his position, keeping calm and steady. "Almost there," he said softly. But then came the unexpected complication. A particularly large cluster of parasites began to react violently, wriggling beneath the skin. Thalcor twitched, scratching involuntarily. Jason grabbed the alien's forearm to stabilize it. "Easy, easy," he said. "I've got you." The giant's eyes widened with a mixture of discomfort and fear. Jason realized this cluster might be too deep for conventional extraction. He paused, analyzing the situation. If he acted too quickly, it could injure Thalcor. If he hesitated, the parasites could spread further. Thinking quickly, Jason adapted. He combined gentle vibration therapy with the resin, using the alien's own natural energy to coax the parasites free. The glow from the resin pulsed, and the insects slowly released their grip. Thalcor's scales shifted, colors flickering as relief spread across its massive body. Jason felt a rush of triumph. It was working. The combination of human ingenuity and alien cooperation was succeeding where traditional methods had failed. He continued, moving carefully over the giant's shoulders and arms. He noticed something remarkable. Thalcor seemed to understand his intentions intuitively. Each adjustment he made, each careful touch, was mirrored in the giant's subtle movements, creating a synchronized rhythm. By midday, Jason had removed nearly all the parasites from areas he could reach. The glow from the remaining clusters was faint, and Thalcor's skin had shifted to a soft, calming blue. The giant rumbled, a low vibration that seemed like a sigh of relief. Jason climbed down, exhausted but proud. "Good work," he said, addressing both the alien and himself. "We're making progress." Other humans approached cautiously, marveling at the scene. "I've never seen anything like it," one whispered. "He's communicating through trust," Jason nodded. "It's more than medicine. It's understanding and patience." But just as he thought the worst was over, he noticed movement from the far end of the dwelling. A swarm of smaller parasites was emerging from the corners, seemingly multiplying faster than before. Jason's heart sank. This wasn't just an isolated problem anymore, it was spreading. "Thalcor," he said, climbing back up. "We might need more help." This is bigger than I expected. The giant's eyes flickered with concern. Jason realized that this was a test of human adaptability. He couldn't rely solely on human tools or alien methods. He needed a hybrid approach using observation, creativity, and courage to solve the problem. He recalled an old human medical principle. Sometimes, the solution isn't to attack the problem directly, but to change the environment so it can be resolved naturally. Jason studied the dwelling, the air, the alien structures, and the creatures themselves. Slowly, a plan formed. He would create a controlled area, using alien light patterns and human antiseptic fields to encourage the parasites to detach and relocate. It was risky. Any miscalculation could alarm Thalcor or the colony, but he had no choice. "Trust me," Jason said, placing his hand on Thalcor's scaled shoulder. The alien's skin pulsed softly. Jason interpreted it as understanding. "We'll do this together." Over the next hour, he worked tirelessly. He guided the parasites into containment zones using light and gentle vibrations. Thalcor remained calm, adjusting its movements as Jason instructed. Every once in a while, Jason would glance down at the colony below and see the humans watching in awe. No one had ever seen such cooperation across species, and Jason felt a surge of pride. By late afternoon, the parasites were finally contained. Thalcor flexed its massive limbs and Jason climbed down, exhausted but relieved. The giant scales shimmered in soft, happy hues, almost like a smile. "You, human clever," Thalcor rumbled. "You help. More than others." Jason smiled, brushing sweat from his forehead. "It's teamwork," he said. "We learned together. You helped me just as much as I helped you." For the first time, Jason felt the full weight of his achievement. Not only had he treated an alien species in a way no human had before, but he had built trust that could change the course of human-alien relations on Zarathus. That evening, as the twin suns of Zarathus dipped below the horizon, casting the glowing plains in shades of pink and gold, Jason reflected on the day. He had faced fear, uncertainty, and a challenge unlike any before, and he had succeeded through empathy, creativity, and courage. Thalcor's low hum filled the air, a sound Jason had come to recognize as gratitude and contentment. For the first time, he realized that this mission was not just about medicine. It was about understanding, connecting, and proving the best qualities of humanity, even on a world far from Earth. Jason packed his tools carefully, already planning for tomorrow. The remaining parasites were small and contained, but he knew vigilance was required. The alien's trust was precious and fragile, and he intended to honor it. As he settled into his tent, exhaustion weighing on him, he felt a quiet pride. Humans could survive dangerous worlds, but more importantly, humans could bridge gaps between species with empathy and courage, and that, he thought, was worth more than any medal or honor. Outside, Thalcor's glowing silhouette could be seen moving slowly, almost playfully, among the colony structures. Jason smiled. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but for now, they had won a small but meaningful victory together. And somewhere deep in the glow of Zarathus, Jason knew that this was only the beginning of an unforgettable bond between human and giant, a bond that could change everything. The next morning, Jason Vale woke to a soft hum vibrating through his tent. It was Thalcor. The giant's glowing silhouette moved gently among the colony structures, and the rhythmic pulse of its scales lit the surrounding area like a living lantern. Yesterday's treatment had been a success, but Jason knew better than to assume the problem was over. Alien biology was unpredictable, and these glowing parasites were clever. Jason packed his tools carefully, double-checking the hybrid devices he had improvised the day before. He felt both anticipation and tension. The success of yesterday had built trust, but today promised new challenges. He exited his tent and approached Thalcor, who lowered its massive head, eyes flickering in acknowledgement. "Good morning, Thalcor," Jason said, his voice steady. "Are you ready to continue?" The giant's scales shimmered in soft greens and blues, a sign of readiness and comfort. Jason smiled and took a deep breath. This day would test his skill, patience, and ingenuity. As he climbed onto Thalcor's arm, he noticed something troubling. The parasites were moving faster and spreading to previously unaffected areas. Some were near the giant's chest and back, areas that would be difficult to reach without extreme care. Jason realized that these creatures were reacting to the removal process, almost as if they were aware of his attempts to control them. Looks like yesterday was only the beginning, he muttered under his breath. We'll need a better plan. Jason adjusted his scanning device, analyzing the patterns of the parasites. He noticed something remarkable. The creatures seemed to avoid areas where the alien scales glowed naturally. It suggested a sensitivity to light or energy, a feature unknown in human medicine. This observation sparked an idea. Thalcor, I need you to stay calm and help me a little more today, Jason said, speaking gently. The giant's head lowered slightly, indicating understanding. Jason realized that this was no longer just a treatment. It was a partnership. He began by guiding the parasites toward less sensitive areas of the alien's body. Using the hybrid light resin technique, he encouraged the creatures to move into zones where he could safely remove them. The process required precision and patience as Thalcor shifted slightly with every movement. A single wrong step could trigger an involuntary reaction. Halfway through the procedure, a sudden complication arose. One particularly dense cluster of parasites began to spread rapidly, moving toward Thalcor's neck and chest. The alien twitched violently, scratching at its own scales in discomfort. Jason's heart pounded. This cluster was not only deeply embedded but also reacting aggressively. Hold still, please, Jason murmured, pressing a hand gently against Thalcor's shoulder to stabilize it. The giant's scales pulsed nervously, but it allowed him to continue. Jason realized that he needed to act quickly but cautiously. Drawing on his knowledge of both human and alien medicine, he devised a new technique. He used a vibration device carefully tuned to frequencies that the parasites seemed sensitive to. The device, combined with the resin and controlled light, caused the parasites to loosen their grip. Thalcor shivered slightly but did not resist, trusting Jason completely. Jason worked methodically, removing one parasite at a time. The process was slow and exhausting, but it was the only way to avoid harming the giant. As he worked, he began to notice something extraordinary. Thalcor's body seemed to respond positively to his presence, almost as if it understood the intention behind every touch. Each removed parasite elicited a subtle shimmer of relief across the giant's scales. Hours passed, and the number of parasites decreased steadily. But just as Jason thought he was making progress, a new threat emerged. Smaller parasites, previously unnoticed, had started appearing in clusters around Thalcor's limbs and tail. They were moving in coordinated patterns, almost like a swarm preparing to resist. Jason paused, wiping sweat from his forehead. This isn't just about removal, he realized. We need to understand them first. He observed the movement patterns carefully, noting that the parasites seemed to avoid areas with certain types of energy or light. He experimented with light pulses and vibration, guiding the creatures toward containment zones without causing distress to Thalcor. The process required intense focus and quick adaptation. As he worked, Jason felt a growing bond with the giant. Thalcor's eyes followed his every movement, expressing trust, patience, and even subtle humor. For the first time, Jason understood that this was more than medicine. It was a deep, cross-species connection built on empathy and cooperation. Suddenly, a sharp vibration ran through Thalcor's scales. Jason looked up to see a swarm of parasites heading toward the colony's central hub. Panic flashed across his mind. If they reached the hub, the entire alien community could be affected, causing discomfort or even panic among the Zerathians. Jason acted immediately. He climbed higher, using Thalcor's massive limbs to reach the source of the swarm. Using a combination of light, resin, and vibration, he managed to redirect the parasites toward a controlled containment area. It was delicate work. One mistake could trigger a defensive reaction from Thalcor or scatter the swarm. Thalcor remained calm, responding to Jason's guidance. The aliens' cooperation was critical, and Jason felt a profound respect for the giant's intelligence and patience. Slowly, the swarm moved into containment and the colony below began to stabilize. Jason exhaled, feeling a mix of relief and exhaustion. We did it. For now, he said, brushing his hands on his uniform. Thalcor rumbled a low, vibrating sound that Jason interpreted as gratitude. The giant's scales shimmered in soft blues and greens, almost like a smile. Jason smiled back. Tomorrow we'll finish this completely. As he descended, Jason realized something important. The parasites had been a problem, yes, but they had also been a bridge between two species. Without this challenge, he might never have formed such a unique connection with Thalcor. or learned the subtle ways in which humans could cooperate with beings so different from themselves. Back at the human base, scientists and medics gathered around to observe. "Jason," one said quietly, "you're doing something no human has ever done before. They trust you." "Completely," Jason nodded, exhaustion making him reflective. "It's not just trust," he said. "It's understanding, empathy, and the willingness to adapt. That's what matters, especially here." The day ended with Jason preparing for rest, but his mind was already planning tomorrow's work. The remaining parasites were fewer, but they were embedded deeper and more resistant. Success would require not only medical skill, but also innovation and continued cooperation with Thalcor. As night fell over Zarathus, the glowing plants pulsed softly, and the twin moons reflected across the plains. Thalcor's silhouette moved gently, a living tower of color and light. Jason watched from a distance, feeling a profound sense of accomplishment and anticipation. He had faced fear, uncertainty, and the unknown, and he had succeeded. But tomorrow promised new challenges. The parasites were clever, and Thalcor's body was vast. Jason knew he would need every ounce of ingenuity, patience, and courage he possessed, and yet he felt ready. For the first time, he truly understood what it meant to be human, not just to survive, but to thrive through intelligence, empathy, and courage, even on an alien world far from Earth. And in that understanding, Jason felt a quiet excitement. Tomorrow, he would continue the work, building not only a solution but also a bond that could change the course of human and Zarathian relations forever. The morning on Zarathus arrived in soft waves of light, casting long, shimmering shadows across the glowing plains. Jason Vale rose early, already thinking about the final stage of his work. Yesterday had been exhausting, but it had brought him closer than ever to Thalcor, the giant alien whose trust he had earned. Today, he knew, they would face the final challenge, removing the remaining parasites and ensuring the giant and the colony would be safe for good. Jason packed his tools meticulously. The hybrid devices, a combination of human medical equipment and alien resin, had worked well, but the remaining parasites were deeply embedded and highly resilient. He climbed into his pack extra supplies, anticipating every possible complication. As he approached Thalcor, the giant's massive form towered against the morning light. Its scales pulsed gently, a rhythm Jason had learned to read over the past days. The alien lowered its head to meet him, eyes flickering in what Jason understood as calm readiness. "Good morning, Thalcor," Jason said. "Are you ready for today?" A low rumble responded. The giant was ready. Jason took a deep breath, steeling himself. This would be the most delicate work yet. He climbed onto Thalcor carefully, moving across the giant's enormous limbs as he had done before. The alien remained still, a silent partner in this intricate procedure. Jason's eyes scanned the remaining clusters of parasites. They were fewer in number, but far more resistant, hiding beneath thick protective scales. Each one would require precision, patience, and a combination of human and alien techniques. "All right," Jason murmured. "Let's make this final step count." He began with the largest cluster embedded near the giant's chest. Using the vibration resin light method he had perfected, he coaxed the parasites to loosen their grip. Thalcor shivered slightly but did not move abruptly, trusting Jason completely. Each parasite that was removed seemed to lighten the giant's mood. Its scales shifted to calm blues and greens, but then came an unexpected complication. The parasites, sensing the disruption, began to react collectively, moving like a swarm in coordinated patterns across the giant's body. Jason's heart raced. One wrong move could send Thalcor into defensive motions, which could endanger both of them and the colony. Jason paused, taking a moment to observe the swarm. They were clever, but their movements revealed a pattern. He realized that he could guide them, not fight them. Human brute force would not work here. Instead, he used light pulses and resin in precise sequences, creating gentle pathways that led the parasites toward the containment zones. "Easy. Follow the path," Jason murmured softly, climbing higher to reach the next cluster. Thalcor adjusted its posture slightly, accommodating Jason's movements. The alien's cooperation was essential. Without it, the final stage would be impossible. Slowly, carefully, Jason worked across Thalcor's back, shoulders, and limbs. The swarm began to thin as the parasites moved into controlled areas. The giant scales pulsed in response to each successful removal. A silent conversation of trust and relief between species. Hours passed, and Jason's hands moved with skill and precision, removing each parasite without causing discomfort. His focus never wavered, and Thalcor remained calm, almost as if it understood the stakes and wanted to help him succeed. Finally, only a few parasites remained, clustered near the giant's neck. This area was particularly delicate, with sensitive nerve clusters beneath the scales. Jason approached with extra care, using the smallest tools in his kit. Each touch had to be perfect. The remaining parasites resisted, pulsing and wriggling in a desperate attempt to remain attached. Jason adjusted the light and vibration frequencies, guiding them gently. He could feel Thalcor's slight tension, but the alien did not move abruptly. Its trust in him was unwavering, and then, with a final coordinated effort, the last parasite detached. It floated harmlessly into the containment zone Jason had prepared. Thalcor shivered once, then exhaled a deep, rumbling sigh of relief. Its scales shifted to a bright, shimmering blue-green, almost like a smile. Jason climbed down, exhausted but triumphant. "We did it," he said softly, brushing sweat from his forehead. "All of them are gone." Thalcor's massive eyes met his, glowing with appreciation. A low rumble filled the air, vibrating through the colony and the glowing plains. Jason interpreted it as gratitude and something more. Recognition of partnership, respect and mutual understanding. The other humans and scientists, who had watched the procedure from a safe distance, approached carefully. "Jason, this is incredible," one whispered. "They trust you completely. You've done something no human has ever done before." Jason nodded, feeling a quiet pride. "It's not just skill," he said. "It's patience, understanding, and respect. Thalcor helped me just as much as I helped him." For the first time, Jason understood the true meaning of human potential in a universe filled with strange and powerful beings. Humanity's strength was not just in technology or firepower, it was in empathy, ingenuity, and courage. After a moment of quiet reflection, Jason prepared to descend fully. Thalcor shifted slightly, bringing its massive head close to him. The alien's eyes flickered with a soft, almost playful glow. "You, human, brave," it rumbled. "You help." "Not like others," Jason smiled. "We did it together," he said. "I couldn't have done it without you." Thalcor's scales pulsed in bright, happy colors, a gesture Jason now understood as laughter. The giant stepped slowly through the colony, its massive feet barely disturbing the glowing plains. Jason followed, carrying his tools as the humans and Zarathians watched in awe. Later, Jason spoke with the Zarathian elders, who had observed the treatment with cautious curiosity. They were amazed by the human's ingenuity and the trust Thalcor had placed in him. One elder spoke, its voice low and melodic. "You have shown what humans are capable of, not through strength but through understanding. This is rare among all species," Jason nodded humbly. "I only tried to help," he said. "Thalcor taught me as much as I taught him." The elder's eyes glimmered with approval. "Then you honor both our peoples. Your actions today will be remembered." As the sun set over Zarathus, casting the glowing plains in shades of pink and gold, Jason took a moment to reflect. The parasites had been a challenge, yes, but they had also been a bridge. Without them, he might never have formed such a unique connection with Thalcor, and humanity might have missed an opportunity to show its true strengths. Thalcor moved toward a quiet grove of glowing trees, its massive form settling down comfortably. Jason approached, sitting beside it carefully. The alien scales pulsed gently, a calming rhythm that resonated with Jason's own heartbeat. "You, human, friend," Thalcor rumbled softly. "Future, bright. Together." Jason smiled, feeling a warmth he had never experienced on any world. "Yes, Thalcor," he said. "Together." The human and giant sat side by side, watching the twin moons rise over Zarathus. The colony was safe, the parasites contained, and a bond had been forged that went beyond species, beyond fear, beyond anything Jason had ever imagined. For Jason, this mission was no longer just about medicine. It was about building trust, understanding, and cooperation across worlds. And in that moment, he knew that humanity had a place among the stars, not as conquerors, but as empaths, problem solvers, and brave hearts. As night settled over the glowing plains, Jason felt a quiet determination. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new mysteries, and perhaps new patience. But whatever came next, he knew that humans could face it and succeed through courage, ingenuity, and empathy. Thalcor shifted its massive head slightly, brushing Jason's shoulder gently, almost playfully. The alien's glowing eyes met his, and Jason laughed softly. "Make it stop again?" he joked, recalling the giant's first words. Thalcor rumbled in response, a sound that was unmistakably amusement. In that shared moment, Jason understood the true meaning of his work. Humanity thrived not through dominance, but through connection, understanding, and the courage to reach out, even to giants. And so, under the twin moons of Zarathus, a human and a giant alien forged a friendship that would be remembered for generations, a testament to what humanity could achieve when it embraced its best qualities: empathy, intelligence, and courage in the face of the unknown.